Welcome to More Than Just a Canine, real stories from the working dog and canine world. My name is Dustin Stiles, and thank you for tuning in. Today's guest has spent nearly 2 decades operating at the highest levels of the canine industry. Coty Rizan is the founder of Inner Circle Canine, a professional platform dedicated to advancing detection integrity, handler accountability, and operational reliability in working dog programs worldwide. With 19 years in the canine industry, including 13 years in law enforcement, Coty has served as a handler, trainer, instructor, consultant, project manager, and head trainer across law enforcement agencies, federal contracts, TSA cargo operations, and the commercial detection sector. His work has supported Major League Baseball and NFL venues. Overseas in Kuwait, he served as project manager and head trainer in high risk operational environments. In Colombia, he trained and handled the first and only emerald detection canine in the world, pushing the boundaries of what detection programs can achieve. He's trained military personnel, law enforcement officers, commercial detection teams, and civilian handlers, but he's best known for something deeper: solving complex canine program failures, building elite teams, and teaching handlers how to think, not just perform. His philosophy is trust the dog, read the leash, build the team, and remove the ego. Now, this is going to be a powerful conversation. Coty, welcome to More Than Just a Canine.
Dustin, man, I appreciate it. And like you said, this is gonna be a great episode. I can't wait to just get it all out there and give you everything that you put together for this show, man.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'm excited. So let's see. Before we get into the Inner Circle Canine, I want to go back. How did you enter the canine world?
All right, so we're gonna keep it short and sweet. I just jumped in, in K9 through law enforcement, man. But honestly, I can give you a little story behind that too. Make a little ha ha funny joke with it. And entering K9 through law enforcement, like you have that picture that you see on TV and the movies and everything, and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to get in this. But what's crazy is it didn't really hit me until day one in handler school. That's the crazy part is how all this unfolds. Because when I got in, the guy who's my mentor, which we'll talk about later, he was he was the head instructor and all of the above for US Canine Unlimited. And on my day one, I was jumping into the handlers course. It was my day one, and most people in there, they're week 3, I want to say, or week 5. So what's crazy is I go out with them and they're all running tracks, and I walk out there. This is my first day. I haven't met any of the other trainers or anything. And I walk up to the trainer and he looks at me. He's like, go get your dog. Let's run a track. Go get some flags. Go get your toys. I looked at him. I said, shit, man. I said, this is day one. I don't know nothing. So, yeah, it's, it's law enforcement is where I started. And that's my bread and butter, man. And then it just grew from there, honestly.
When you were a young handler, what did you believe about canine work that you later realized wasn't true?
Man, this one can go all over the place, honestly. I thought canine work was all about control. And I say that because that's probably what the public feels, with everybody from the outside to the inside feels, that it's all about just control. You thought if you give a command, the dog needs to respond instantly. It's that if I say this, you must do this kind of thing. And what's crazy is it's like when I started really grasping it and understanding it is I was working outs for the first time. It's the first time I've ever done this. Had no clue. Outs. What are we outing? I didn't even know the concept of that, right? So my trainer, he was like, hey, we're gonna work on simple outs. We're gonna do this type of sleeve. It was a Schützen sleeve, very simple drill. just to introduce the whole bite aspect and outing aspect. That was it. Decoy even slid the sleeve. Dog runs around, prances around. Ooh, that's his toy. You make the dog out it, you throw the sleeve back, and you do it again. Well, we started going through this, and he's like, "Look, I'm telling you, timing is everything in this situation. You got to understand, timing is everything." And I'm just thinking, I'm like, timing, timing. I was an athlete, so I'm like, okay, this makes sense to me. So, timing, okay. All right, I'll think about this. So, dog, he's like, send your dog on a bite, very short bite. Send the dog on a bite. He's like, all right, decoy, slip the sleeve. Decoy slips the sleeve. He's like, all right, take off running with your dog like it's a toy. He was like, don't let him get on the ground and start gnawing on it or chewing on it. Just keep it in his mouth, make him prance around. Once you stop, make him out it. He said, remember, timing. So I tell him, I'm like, out. I'm in this big firm voice. And what's funny is he's like, all right, if he doesn't out, you need to give him a swift little correction. It needs to be firm and quick. You got to paint the picture early. So I'm yelling out. My dog's laying down. He's got the freaking Schützen sleeve between his front paws. He had already outed. And here I am. Whack. I yank him. And I'm like, "Oh my god." He looked at me, my trainer, he's like, "What the hell did you do that for?" I said, "Well, I freaked out. I was like, I was overthinking it. I was thinking about timing. I didn't realize he let it go so quick. I'm like, I don't know." So he yells at me about it. And to shift it all, that moment hit me harder than I think the correction hit the dog. I really do. Because I realized something in that moment that I wasn't correcting like his disobedience. I was correcting my own lack of awareness. So in reality, like I said, it shifted me and opened my mind like that fast in that moment and that early. And the thing is the dog did his job. I just didn't see it, like I didn't see it fast enough. And that's when I just learned about timing isn't about authority. Timing is just about respect and understanding and seeing the whole picture. So my
Right.
thing is like young handlers just think that control builds, reliability or something of that sort. But really, it's the precision that builds that reliability. And I think that's where a lot of people fall distant from that and don't quite grasp it. You'll probably hear this over and over the more we get deeper and the more we talk about certain things is I try to paint things very, very simplistic for people. That's what I pride myself on in this industry. And we'll get into it deeper with my mentor, but my foundation was built correctly. And I understand that now years later. But that's the thing is you got to paint the picture simple and it has to be clear. Don't overanalyze nothing. Just rock with it is what I tell everybody.
And speaking of mentor, what mentor had the biggest impact on how you think today?
So I can tell you right now, without hesitation, my biggest mentor is Roger Abshire. He was he's been well respected in the industry probably for over 40 years now, maybe even almost 50 years now today.
Wow.
Um, he's what I tell everybody, he really is a dog guru. That's the only explanation I can say. And we all, like all of us in the industry, have people that we look up to, that we respect, that we learn from, that we grow from, that we pick and choose what methods to take from who and kind of build your own thing. But what I was saying previously about foundation, Roger built me who I am today, along with Rocky Trahan. He was one of the master trainers there when I first started. He was part of my learning for a long, long time. And there's no words ahead of me to thank them of what they've done for me. Over the years, I would say Roger like just drilled one thing into my head over and over and over again was pay attention to the dog. And I early on, obviously I didn't really understand that because you just heard a story where I wasn't paying attention to the dog.
Mhm.
But it was like the more and more I think about it, and even today, especially with the research and everything that we have today, like it means something more to me than anything in the industry because the dog is going to tell you everything you need to know. That's the biggest thing. And clarity's everything for the dog. And the simple way to do it is what I tell everybody. It's either black or white. There's no gray area. If there's gray area, it's called confusion. That's what you're going to have. And you want no gray areas during training. And if you see the dog telling you something, pay attention to it, because if the dog is clearly not sitting when you tell the dog to sit, he's walking around something so basic. If he doesn't sit when you say sit, that means there was no clarity in that foundation. So, yeah, Roger, I owe it to him, man. Wonderful man in the industry, wealth of knowledge. And I tell people all the time that ask me these questions because they're like, hey, do y'all still work together? Do y'all still do this? We don't, but we obviously we still talk. We still, all of the above. And I have the utmost respect to him, and I will always scream it from the rooftops. I am who I am because of the foundation that he built for me.
So that's good stuff, man. That's awesome. And like you said, he's still there for you. Mentor, still there.
I mean,
So
it's been it's been almost 20 years, you know? So, it's like we've been through a lot together, man, and there's no other way that I could thank him for everything, because like I said, the whole thing is I thank him more for my foundation than I think he even knows, because without that, I wouldn't be, honestly.
right. How did law enforcement shape your philosophy compared to the commercial sector?
This is another one that we can go all kinds of ways. My biggest thing is, like, in law enforcement, failure isn't an inconvenience. I mean, even in the commercial side, it can cost you your freedom, it can cost you your life, it can compromise a case, it can damage your credibility. There's so much there's so much to this question, but I'm just gonna give you the meat and potatoes what I feel with that. The law enforcement environment, basically, it's just like it forces that clarity, and documentation matters, reliability matters. Like I said, there's no room for any of that gray area whatsoever. Because once again, we're talking about, like, freaking cases. If anybody's ever gone to court on cases, like, if your paperwork isn't straight, you're doomed. That's it.
Right.
Your certification doesn't win your case, and we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that people need to understand on the law enforcement side, is that that doesn't cover your case. You have to document all this stuff. And then when I moved into the commercial sector, I just saw something completely different. Like, there was just more flexibility. The business pressure was a lot tougher because obviously you have all these large companies that do all that stuff. It's just more, to me, more brand positioning. But in my eyes, like, the thing that I realized really quickly is the standards should never change. But what I saw was the standards do change because it was based on who was writing a check. And that's what disturbed me a lot. And it still to this day does. To me, it's either the dog is reliable or not. Either
Yep.
the handler understands odor or they don't. It's very simple, And just like you said in my bio, my philosophy, is shaped by consequence-based clarity, Then in the commercial side, that perspective, the exposure gave me the perspective, but it's almost like the reliability cannot be negotiated. It can't be negotiable. And what I see in the commercial side is there's a lot of negotiation. Clients are not understanding what their investment really is. And that's a big puzzle, man. And I'm not trying to sound I don't want people that are listening to this to sound like I'm trying to bash other companies or bash other people or say negative things, or just be painted in a negative picture of it. It's us all being together and understanding what that word standard means.
Right.
It should never be flexed. That's where I fall in that. And like I said, we could go deep, but I don't want to keep you here all night.
I'm good to go.
You know?
uh, so you've worked Major League Baseball and NFL venues. What's
Yep.
different about like that high visibility security environments?
So That you have media watching, you got PR people watching, you got the stadium security people watching you, the public watching you. You got so much going on that if you take the average Joe and put him through a 4-week handler course who's never worked anything in their life, law enforcement, nothing. This is their first dog job. And you throw them in that environment. Let's be honest and real about this. How do you think they're going to handle something like that? They've never experienced nothing like that, right? You're looking at thousands of people knowing what the true mission is. We're trying to save 100,000 people's lives, if not more. That's what the mission is. And if you've never been in an environment like that, that dog is going to feel every nerve, everything that's going in your body when you're holding that leash. That environment is a whole nother ball game when you've never been a part of it.
No pressure, right?
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. You know, they'll put like I said, the average Joe in a 4-week course and be like, "Here, good luck. Go work a Super Bowl." And I'm like, "What? No, 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 no." You know,
Yeah, yeah. Totally agree. What's something the public completely misunderstands about detection dogs?
you gonna make me really think about this one and give you a really, really different answer. I think it's just the margin of error, honestly. The margin of error to me, because when you're working, like you just said, the MLB venues, NFL venues, things of that nature, you're operating in the public eye 100%. The fundamentals never change, but what changes is what you kind of mentioned is the pressure. They'll say, no pressure, just, go do it. No, but that pressure is what exposes handlers because they've never experienced something like that. And what I see through that industry on the commercial side is they expect almost perfection out of someone that has never done anything like this before. So, and the first thing that they want to do is, oh, well, the handler didn't do this. They went through a 4, maybe 6-week course, but never had any real training in an environment like this. And you don't expect mistakes to happen.
Yeah.
Like, let's be realistic about this stuff. My thing is like I can relate this to when I worked a Kansas City game. This was my first red team audit as a handler that I dealt with in the commercial world. Granted, I've had years of experience in law enforcement. I've been training dogs for police departments and being involved in a lot in my life prior. So I have that coolness of the no pressure already. Like I'm calm, cool, collective. I just do my job, let my dog do his
Right.
thing. And the crazy thing is like during this situation, there's thousands and thousands of people coming to the game. I'm observing because what I always teach handlers, especially green people, is it's not just your dog that you're going to pay attention to. You're going to observe everything around you. You should see it before your dog does most of the times.
Uh-huh.
If it's a visible security issue. But I was observing, like, where I was working, and I was working on a corridor right by one of the gates, and I was just running my dog. It was a person-born dog at the time, just checking, air scenting, running behind the crowd, and I see this person standing over against the crowd, like, going the opposite way, and he just looked out of place. You can just see something and know that it just ain't right, and
Uh-huh.
I had a Kansas City cop. He was next to me, and, I told him, I said, "Hey, man," I said, "You might wanna go check on this guy." I said, "He's got a backpack on too, so let's just keep eyes on him." He's like, "Alright." So, I continue working, and I guess he just lost him because I expected him to still pay attention to him after I kept working my dog, but he didn't. He fell off in the crowd somewhere. I'm working my dog, and all of a sudden, yank, my dog starts pulling me somewhere, and I'm looking up, and I see the back of this guy that I recognized that was quote unquote out of the picture, and my dog's pulling to him. So I look at the Kansas City cop, and I'm like, "Hey, bro, you better come with me. Come on." So I grabbed him, and sure enough, the cop went and investigated it, went and talked to him, and come back to me, and he was like, "Hey, man, just wanna let you just pass an audit." I was like, "Thanks."
Wow.
he was like, "It's crazy." He was like, "It's crazy that you knew it before it even happened, before your dog even happened." I said, "Well, dude, I've been a cop a long time too, so I'm always about my surroundings."
Yeah.
I said, but again, what I'm getting at with that is like, you just maintain awareness at all times.
Yeah.
Like, that's the biggest key in these major venues, major environments, because there's so much chaos going on. And I say chaos because it's just a lot of people.
Yeah. A lot of noise, a lot of movement.
Yeah, it's just constant movement. Constant movement. You're getting called over here to run a static over here. You're getting called to if you got a person born dog, we need more help over here. So you're leaving different areas. It's just a lot going on. And then the thing is like for me, dealing with that red team audit, it kind of like reinforced something for me was just being highly observant and highly visible and just being aware. That's the biggest thing is because the big venues don't test your dog. They test your composure in a sense. Performance doesn't rise to the level of the hype for it just for me, like it falls to the level of training on that aspect. So if you're not preparing yourself for this type of environment, preparing yourself for uncontrolled chaos in a sense, like you and your dog are gonna fall to that. And that exposure and that environment, it's gonna expose the handler and not the dog.
Of course. Of course. Absolutely. In your experience, what actually causes most canine program failures?
This one here, I just want to make sure that I say this one right. I think honestly, man, I'm gonna say leadership. For me, it's leadership more than anything. I just feel like the failures on that end come from leadership being so closed-minded and not thinking in the best interest of the whole canine division in itself. They think a certification covers everything, which obviously it doesn't. There's way more to it. There's way more depth to that. It's just so much to this. Honestly, like I would like to keep it simple and just say and realistically, like it's leadership more than anything.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's not that because I don't like using the term canine program failures. I really don't like using that concept because the only way that I can truly say that a division is a failure, did they have the resources? Did they have the right backing? There's a lot of departments that are super small that have no clue what they're doing, have no clue where to go, don't know how to pick a dog. There's so much, like I said, there's so much depth to this question. But honestly, like I feel like it's more leadership than it is anything else. Like that's coming from me. That's how I feel because I feel like the programs that I've audited and the programs that I've dealt with throughout my career and doing the things that I'm doing now, that's the biggest issue that I come across is, well, I've been doing this 45 years. How long have you been doing it?
Yeah.
I said, I don't care. Like, I'm not being an ass about it. Well, why is your standard better than my standard? Clearly, your standard is not making your chief or your sheriff happy. So clearly, there's something we could come together as a unit and we can figure this out together and make the standard better. That's why I'm here. I'm not here to take your job from you or make you get in trouble. I'm here to help you make this better.
Yeah.
And that's what I fight a lot. Like I'm sure we'll get later into that once we start talking about those questions. But like that's the biggest thing that I see is just on the leadership end is understanding that there's there's no buy-in to one method. There's no buy-in to one mythology. There's no buy-in to one trainer. There's no buy-in to none of this stuff. It's about raising the standard, keeping a standard, and making sure that we hold all of our guys accountable to that standard. That's it. It's very simple.
Yeah.
I mean, it can drift, like that's the biggest thing is a lot of people don't understand is programs just don't collapse overnight. That shit happens throughout time. It happens through like the drifting phase in a sense. Like it all stems from somewhere. So if we see that the standards are slowly dropping as a program, we should step in and be like, okay, what's going on here? Is this taken care of? Are documents taken care of? Why are we just training for certifications? Why aren't we training for everything else? Like a lot of departments fail on that end, and it's not per se the handler's fault. I, People always say that, well, they went through handlers courses, they should know because the trainers that they were taught by, I'm sure told them this, that, and the other. Yeah, but they're still new. They still are unaware of so much in this industry. I mean, like you said, like I'm almost been in this industry 20 years and I still learn every single day. And I learn from people that I teach and train that are brand new to the industry.
Hmm.
Eh, if we can get everybody, like I said, it's just the standard leadership, swallow your ego, swallow your pride, and say, hey, hold yourself accountable for it and just be like, we need to move in a different direction. There's an old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, if it's broke, you gotta fix something.
There you go.
It's simple.
Yep. On that same subject, what's one red flag you immediately notice when evaluating, and like you said, a struggling program?
Defensiveness.
Okay.
I would say defensiveness, man. Like if I go into a program, if a chief or a sheriff wants me to come audit their programs and they want me to come look at the documentations, scenario designs and things of that nature to find out the core of their training development, it's basically defensiveness in every question that I ask. But this are not holding themselves accountable for something. Strong to me, if you're a strong program, you're going to welcome those types of questions. You're gonna welcome that type of knowledge to even want to try to help you excel. You're gonna want to work as a team to fix these things.
Right.
I deal with it a lot, honestly, especially doing what I do now. Like that's my biggest thing that's hard for me to actually have a business with this because I am challenging programs and trying to tell them that what my standard is better than what they're doing when that's not what it's about at all. It's not. It's about us coming up to this like I'm giving you what I know and what I do, but also I want to know what you know and what you do so we can take both of these together and find out what works best. That's it. That is it. It's a very simplistic thing. And I think people overanalyze and overthink that type of stuff. And it really puts them in a situation where a lot of people don't want to work with those types of people. Whenever they get defensive like that, why would I want to help you at that point? That's
Well,
the biggest
absolutely.
thing.
What was Kuwait like operationally compared to the United States?
Good old Kuwait. I love Kuwait, man. Kuwait was amazing. Uh Operationally, I would just say the tempo. I mean, obviously the weather, being in the desert, all of that has effects as well. But for me, it was tempo because I was working with 128 different teams. So there was something always moving, always it was always something going on because I had to make sure the dogs were okay. We had vet, we had training, we had constant audits, we had constant switching out at the gates because we could only work the dogs at 2-hour increments. There was so much going on that we don't have to worry about here because of the environment there. You got to wear boots. The dogs have to wear booties too. No, their paws would be burnt to death. And like I said, we had 2-hour increments that we rotated dogs out constantly because anything over that, those dogs were done. They didn't want to do nothing at all after that. They were just so, and we had air conditioned kennels there as well. So they had the way to cool down. We had cooling mats. We had trust me, we had all the resources to keep these dogs safe and in good care, but it's still the environment there versus being somewhere here where so much more can be controlled here than what it was there.
The only thing I remember about Kuwait on the hot days, it was real windy and it felt like a hair dryer on
Blow
your.
dryer. That's what
Oh
I
yeah,
used to
yeah,
tell
blow dryer.
everybody.
I'm sorry, a blow dryer on your face.
Yep, that's what I'd tell that to everybody because they would
Mm,
ask me. I was like, "It's gotta be hot." I'm like, when it was windy, when I would walk outside, it felt like somebody had like a hair dryer, a blow dryer on the hottest setting that it had on full blast.
yep,
That's exactly what it felt like every single time. And I thought of it, I'm like, "Damn, if it's this hot, imagine what those dogs feel.
yep.
Imagine what they felt in that stuff."
As a project manager and head trainer overseas, what leadership lessons did you learn?
Exposure was something that I learned quick. When something was wrong, like at a big scale like that, no one else was to blame but me. That was it. And it was about me taking accountability for everything that happened on this contract. And it when I tell you I grew so much from this experience as far as leadership goes, I couldn't be more thankful for that opportunity for that purpose. Is I looked at it completely different than what I looked at leadership before. Because anytime anything was going on with my guys, there was no such thing as an excuse. It was, this is what happened. Now we're going to turn this into, this is the fix, and this will never happen again. My bad. We're moving forward. That's it. I took accountability from the guys. I didn't want them losing confidence if they missed the audit or something like that. I wanted to build them up to keep everything operationally put together. And the client saw that, and we kept that contract for years. And like I said, to me, it was an experience for me because to me, it was more or less of, they needed my presence and they saw how I showed accountability for everything. Like, for everything. Like, when you say ride or die for your guys,
Uh-huh.
that's 100% like, I finally understood what that mean in that position there. And I loved every bit of it. Like, yeah, I was stressed as shit sometimes. Big people were down my throat with some things, but guess what? I sucked it up. I gave them a solution to the issue, and I said, "Hey, this will never happen again, good sir." And then I'd take it to my supervisors and I'd be like, "Hey, this is what happened today. I don't need to go into great detail, but this shit ain't gonna happen again because I just got my ass chewed out." You know? Like, and that's what happened. And like I said, it definitely changed leadership view for me more than anything. Because it wasn't, think of it like this, like, it's not about, to me, leadership isn't being about the best, right? It's not being, you're not the best person. Being a leader means that everyone underneath you should be replacing you or should be better than you. That's what you should be mentoring and pushing those people for. Because if you're not, you're already failing.
That's a real good way of putting that. Absolutely, yeah.
You know, in
Yes.
my eyes, like, that's truly how I feel. If you are not taking the people that are beneath you to try to make them better, or at least take your position one day, you're already failing because all you're doing at that point is just CYN your own ass. You know, you're just covering your own ass and holding on and hoarding power, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a great experience, man. It definitely changed a lot in my life. I can tell you that.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you had that experience. But it
Yeah.
kind of on those same lines, let's go to Colombia, training the world's first emerald detection dog. Tell
Yeah.
me about that.
So, that's a crazy part, and I'm gonna bring in 2 other people, Rocky, a Trahan that I was telling you earlier, and Roger Abshire, because that we all 3 did it. It was a whole team experience. It wasn't just me. It's not just one person. It took a team. So I definitely want to get that out there for sure. But The opportunity came to us from a mining company out of Texas, and they were mining the emeralds in Muzo mines in Colombia, and they were looking for other risk mitigation and ways of stopping theft. Because what was happening was the workers in the mines were turning around, stuffing them in their boots, doing whatever they can to steal the emeralds later on once they're done with work. Well, they beefed up their security on the outside of the mine when they came out, and they would put them through airport scanners and things of that nature. They spent thousands and thousands of dollars on technology, but they were
Mhm.
still losing tons of money because they found ways around it. So their thought process was damn, we got dogs at airports. Why can't we have a dog here doing the same thing?
Mhm.
Funny thing was is they called and asked, and like you said, Roger is Roger, he ain't gonna say no, that's for sure. So he came and talked to us about it, the team, me and Rocky, and we looked at him and was like, let's do it. Why can't we do it? And he was like, well, that's why I'm telling y'all, we gonna do it. so So, long story short, they sent us raw, uncut emeralds. They sent us actual liquid from the mine because it's a form of liquid before it hardens into the actual emerald, the raw uncut emerald too. So they sent us everything we need for imprinting side. And just by the way, we used a Mal. He wasn't a bite dog; he was just a detection dog. So we did use a Mal in this situation. Great nose, great drive, environmentally freaking amazing. Because we knew that's what we really needed that more than anything for the environments that we were about to go into. Because you got to remember, this was something that nobody's done. There's no blueprint to this. We're trying to figure this out. So this literally was our own research and trial and error. So what we did was, is their first thing that they wanted us to do was, obviously they want us to be able to search open areas, the mine walls, just regular static type searching, bags, boots, stuff like that. But they also asked, hey, can you search the person? Because we know that they're putting it on their person.
Mhm.
So we were like, all right, we got to figure out a way to do this. So we had a welder back home. He welded up this booth. It's like an old school phone booth. We put a fan at the top of the booth. We drilled out some holes in front. It's kind of like what they used to do in the prison systems. And we had basically just a regular smell hole in the front. We'd walk the person in the booth and work from there. Obviously, we imprinted the dog, went through all the training aspect of it. Once we came to a realization that we can start advancing the training with the dog, um, obviously we started playing in more pictures, more scenario type based training and things of that nature. And we proofed it in the United States. I took it to Colombia and I did a 6-month pilot program where the company, who knows nothing about canine, nothing about dogs, they would be testing me. So this was like double blind, triple blind, you name it. Like this testing was insane. So we get there, get acclimated, I don't know, probably for about a week. And then I start doing some training exercises and stuff around the mines, in the walls, normal training and things like that. The company sent a guy out there just to place emeralds places, and he would literally just like go hide in this little booth where it was like a he could see out, but I can't see in, so I don't even know who's watching me in all different areas. And I passed all the tests, man. And what's crazy is that's probably the most nervous I've ever been, but I learned so much. Even this is late in my career too, because this was only back in 2016. It's not that long ago. But doing this project made me more in tune with dogs even more because I saw me in that dog at times. And finally I was like, you know what? I'm not even using a leash anymore with this dog in this project. Cause I called Roger. I was like, Roger, I was like, this is some stuff we've never experienced. I've never been a part of. Like, I was like, this is wild for one. I was like, "But I trust this dog more than I trust myself." I said, "I can tell you this." I said, "Everything that I do from here on out, unless I'm doing the booth or something, or if I gotta keep him confined in an area, I'll run him on a leash." I said, "But everything else, I'm running him off leash." And he was like, "All right." He was like, that's smart." So I started running him off leash with everything, man. And that dog blew our minds. And the guy there, his name was Casey. He was just so blown away by this. He was like, "How did y'all even do this?" I said, "Literally the same concept we do with every detection dog. We did nothing different. Same imprinting that we do on every dog. Like everything was literally identically the same. We just we did pressure it a little bit more as far as pressure testing of jumping to scenarios a little faster than we normally would, just to test the theory in a sense. But yeah, man, like this project went on for years until until that dog passed away, and they trained 2 more dogs. And from what I know, because I trained 2 other handlers there, it was local handlers. They're still working today. So it was a dude, it was a very, very, very in-depth, like, trial and error situation. Like, it was very interesting. It's really hard to, like, talk about it and break it down because, like, we can talk all scientific all day long, but, like, just for an average person listening and trying to make it understandable to them, if you understand, like, basic detection dogs, literally, that's exactly what we did. Literally, they're just detecting emeralds. That was it. And when I was there for the pilot program, I seized probably 13 million in emeralds, if not more.
My goodness.
And then on top of that, whenever I went live the following year, because I stayed a whole nother year after that and worked the whole contract until I could train other people. Uh, and whew, total weight, man. I want to say it was somewhere close to $30 million in savings as far as like what we found in theft.
Oh my god.
But you gotta remember, we're talking about emeralds, so there could be one that I find that could be worth $2 million because the
Right.
size, the weight of it and stuff. So it wasn't like I was finding stuff every single day, but one main one that we did find, it was set on the outside. How they got it out the mine, I don't even know. It was literally a softball size.
Wow.
It was a softball size. They told me that that one was worth like $11.2 million or something like that. Yeah, insane, absolutely insane. So, but yeah, man, that was a very fun and interesting project. Like I said, it was a team effort, man. There's no way one person could figure that out and do that themselves. That's for sure.
That's amazing. So what did that experience teach you about innovation and detection?
I would say it's more discipline than anything. It's not just creativity because it is creativity to a certain extent. Some people argue with me and say innovation isn't creativity, but I think it is some. But I think it's definitely more discipline than it is because, like, when we were building that, there was no playbook, there was no existing certification for it, there was no reference model. We had to literally figure this out. And like I said, the only thing that we knew, we just basically, it was like I told you in the very beginning, it was foundational training. Like Roger and all of his experience, Rocky and all of his experience, myself and all my experience, we literally went back to foundational training and said, we got to start from scratch, put together what we know, and figure it out from there. The thing is it can't be guesswork because you have to go through the trial and error to figure it out.
Right.
Because you gotta find what works for the team, what works for that dog, and just be repeatable with it. Like, just continue to do it. If you see that it's working, don't change that part. Keep that part. Maybe put something else in. It's just it's learning on the fly too, man. Like that's the biggest thing that I harp on. Like this is just training in general is having a tackle box. If you're a fisherman, you don't go fishing with one damn bait. You don't go to Walmart and buy one crankbait and say, "Yep, I'm gonna go fish, and that's all I'm gonna use." You may use it for a little while, but you're not gonna that ain't gonna be the only thing you use. You're gonna have another rod and reel with another bait on the end of it.
Right.
So it's the same thing in dog training. If you don't have a tackle box full of methods, full of different tools, different everything, you're never going to make it. I'm sorry to say it like that, but it's true. You have to be adaptable. You have to learn how to problem solve and you have to learn how to think. That's it.
Absolutely. So let's break down your philosophy. Trust the dog, read the leash.
Yes, this is the one that I was kind of waiting on. Cause I'm actually gonna like give you like my definition, right? People can have their own, but this is like my philosophy on my belief and how I look at this and how I portray this for my philosophy in a sense. To me, it's just a data line, legitimately. And then, like, if you think about what I mean behind trust the dog, it's just assume that the dog is giving you that real information.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing. Not attitude, not disobedience, not stubbornness. Assume that the dog is giving you what you need to pay attention to. Because a trained detection dog doesn't guess. If the a true trained detection dog follows odor the way we follow light with our eyes, if that makes sense. Like it's just that's what like for me, if you're trusting the dog, you're trusting a dog that was he's telling us everything about the picture. Even an untrained dog. An untrained dog tells you everything you need to pay attention to. And he's asking you, what do you need from me? Or her? What do you need from me? What is my expectations? What are my boundaries? You have to listen and pay attention and trust the dog. They're gonna tell you everything. I can't express that enough. Think of it like this. So if the dog changes like a head position or something like their breathing or body tension or something like that, what is that dog trying to tell you? Something, right? So why don't you listen to that? Why don't you go with the dog? Don't be like, oh, you missed here. No, the dog's trying to tell you something. Go with the dog, investigate with the dog, then make your decision. Oh, he's just messing around. Like, I know he's not into anything. So let's move on this way. Go with your dog. Period. It's I could give you 1,000 different examples, but the bottom line, trust your dog literally means trust your dog.
Yep.
Don't have any doubt in that dog. Have all the confidence in the world that your dog is going to perform the way it needs to perform. Period. If you can have that type of confidence, you will have no issues doing what you should do and perform the way that you should as a team. Now, we can get into the your leash part. So, my philosophy on reading the leash is oh man, trying to think of this in a simplistic way to kind of give. So, if we're holding the leash of the dog, right?
Hmm.
We hold the leash, you feel the dog pulling. Is it with intent? Is it with purpose? Is the dog trying to pull out of pressure? What is the dog telling you? Understand that through the leash. Feel every movement. Feel you literally can feel every movement in the leash. If you hold the leash properly, use the leash properly. My biggest thing is that's where most handlers fail. Most handlers fail and lose their confidence behind leash control, period. I'm sure you've seen it in your career, in your life. I'm sure you've seen it on Instagram videos, on Facebook videos, you name it. You can, if you somewhat know what you're looking at in a sense, you can pick that out very quickly when someone looks unorthodox holding a leash. And if you can have the confidence and trust in your dog and the same confidence by just holding the leash, being there. You're not steering the dog. Stop trying to control the dog. You're there to assist the dog.
Mhm.
Assist the dog what he misses. Because obviously, a dog is not a robot. No matter how great it's trained, no matter how good you do things with the dog is going to miss certain spots. And odor travels get into the science of odor, and that's a whole nother subject. But there could be odor hiding behind something, and he can smell the other side and still miss it. So as a handler, you have to realize those types of things and be able to help your dog and assist him. If you see something missed, you just assist him by going over there. But in reality, you don't want to use the leash as a steering wheel. That's not what it's for. My biggest thing is the dog detects, the handler decides. If you don't trust the dog, you'll override the whole damn picture. If you don't read the leash, you're going to miss that whole picture. Period. The dog's the sensor, the leash is your signal, and us as the handler or trainer, we're the interpreter. It's very simple. You don't have to overthink it, you don't have to overanalyze it, but it's just like you read it. Trust the dog, read the leash. Like I said, we can speak on it all night, all day, as far as getting technicalities in it, but don't read into it. Read what you read. Trust the dog, read the leash. It's very simple.
Gotcha.
Very, very, very simple. Because that's, like I said, a lot of people will get into the holy moly, this is way too much. Like they start to look into it and overanalyze it too deep when the answer's right in front of you. You just read it to me. Trust the dog, read the leash. Simple. How do you feel? You feel like you that I broke it down enough for you to understand it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, and hopefully, like you said, the people listening,
Yeah.
I think you broke it down just fine. Absolutely. But that trust is, to me, is probably the number one.
Yeah.
You gotta
I
trust
mean,
your dog. You don't trust your dog, it's not gonna work.
what are you doing at that point?
Mhm.
That's what I try to tell everybody. What are you doing at that point? You're doing nothing. You're basically disrespecting and disservicing your dog,
Yeah.
literally. And why waste your time? Why try to control something that honestly you can't control whether you think you can or not? Like it's just I don't know, man. It just drives me crazy when people try to overanalyze something so simple.
Yeah, and well, how often do handlers unknowingly affect the results?
Like, as far as, like, reading like, the leash in general?
Mhm.
So, it's just communication. What I tell everybody is clarity and communication, and the minute that you put your hand on that leash with your dog, if you don't have your shit together, guess what? Neither is that dog. It's an emotional connection, right? And understand and again, don't get too complex about it. Just if you feel like you're not yourself 100%, guess what? Your dog will not be 100% either. If you wake up and had a bad morning and you're like, shit, I got called out to this traffic stop real quick. I gotta go run my dog on. I'm tired. Well, guess what? Your dog is gonna be too. So
Mhm.
don't get mad if something happens, if he false alerts on you because you're half-assing around this car or you're doing XYZ. Like that's the biggest thing is just that emotional line. That's literally what the leash is. And that's where I feel handlers miss. They don't understand how important that line is and what that does tell the dog. I could tell you a ton of different stories and examples behind it, but I mean, really, there's you don't really need to. It's just think about it. Check yourself. If you're good, you're gonna be good. If you're having second thoughts, then guess what? Don't grab the leash right now. Take a break, get your shit together, and then come back and grab the leash.
Right.
But the thing is we're all men. A lot there's a lot of men in this industry. You know, the ego gets in the way, or we can do it. Don't worry about it. We're going to do it. We're just going to push through it. Now, what we talked about earlier, standard, right? What happens to that standard when we do stuff like that? It then drifts down. It starts to lower itself. And then that comes with just integrity in general, right? Why are you doing this if you're going to half ass it? Why? There's no reason. If you're not going to put your all in this because the mission requires that, if you think about what you're doing as a team, whether it's commercial, law enforcement, whatever the case is, that's pest control, that's everything. Your mission is your mission, and your mission should never, ever be compromised because you have emotional feelings in the way or you feel a certain type of way. You should go into this mission 100% because that dog deserves that. That's how I feel about that.
What separates a good handler from an elite handler?
So separates from good handler to a, so in my eyes, that's actually kind of simple because uh, let's see how I can. So I say good handlers in my eyes. Good handlers give you commands. Let's think about it from the dog side, right? Good handlers know the commands. Good handlers can run a trained dog. We can keep it that. To me, an elite handler can read the information, can regulate themselves under pressure. Self regulation to me is what separates that. So I guess the answer would be short good handler, elite handler, self regulation.
Yeah.
Like that's how I feel behind it. Cause you got to remember, we all started somewhere.
Mhm.
Everyone starts and everyone wants to be great. Everyone wants to be that exceptional team. Everyone, there's a lot of people that just want a title. There's a lot of people that just want a name, whatever the case may be. But you can't have none of that unless you really put everything into this, man. It's just effort. It's effort. If you put just a little bit of effort, the dog's going to help you throughout the whole way and you're going to learn so much from the dog. That's the thing is the dog should give you more confidence than anything in this situation. But honestly, man, I would say self-regulation is the biggest thing that would separate them for
Yeah.
me. Good handler, elite handler, self-regulation.
Okay. How do you teach someone to think instead of just follow repetition?
I got to get some water for this one. I got to get some water for this one. You stop giving them answers. I want you to, and I say it like that. I just want you to let it sink in for a little bit, not take it as like, damn, that's kind of an asshole thing to say, but it's true.
Uh-huh.
Stop giving them answers because you need to teach them reasoning. Because most programs, most people, most programs, most training, most vendors, they just teach the reps. They don't go in a lot of detail because they're stuck. I've been a part of this world. You got 4 weeks to get these guys ready for most of these departments. You got 8 weeks to get them ready for this, or you got 12 weeks, whatever it is that they're paying you to go through. You got only that allotted time to give these guys this, which I hate that it's like that, but it's the truth. But you want to basically make someone understand how important problem solving and thinking is from the very jump, like my mentor did with me. He did it with me in literally like day one, day two. Like he preached timing to me, and I had no clue what he was talking about, but I just kind of problem solved on my own. I'm like, all right, timing. So timing, I think of it as baseball. All right, timing. My swing's got to be down I gotta have timing on my swing. So if he's talking timing, does that mean like the dog has to do something in the right amount of time, or do I have to correct? Like, I didn't quite understand that whole thing as a picture, but
Mhm.
he already broke it down to where my mind was already thinking, and I wasn't even thinking about asking the questions right away because I was already thinking. And then that happened, I corrected my dog when he didn't need to be corrected, and then he opened that picture up, and I was like, "Holy shit, this all makes sense now." Now it's all about teaching people to think and problem solve on their own. And I can take this shit back all the way to just basic home dog training. Cause I've done a lot of that in my life too. And that's the biggest thing that I teach. If I can't teach you to do my job, then guess what? Your dog ain't gonna do shit for you. And I don't think people realize that. I'm the professional dog trainer. I should be able to train your dog. But if your dog can't maintain that same training when I leave this house, we got problems. Because I need to teach you how to face those problem solving issues. I need to teach you as an owner to be able to not pick up the phone and call me and I got to charge you another $100 because it's the way I feed my family. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
a lot of dog trainers might get pissed off at me for saying that, but it's the truth. Like, it's just like I said earlier, it's as simple as the leadership thing. As leaders, we should be teaching people to replace us and be better than us. As dog trainers, I should be teaching this person how to do my job because I don't ever want to see this person or this dog again. Because if I do, that means I didn't do my job. Not just to come to your house to take more money, because that's what a lot of them do. But I shouldn't have to come see you. I should get phone calls from you. Hey, man, just wanted to let you know, hey, everything going good with the dog? Oh, Cody, everything's going great. Thank you for this, blah, 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 blah. I've encountered this, I've encountered that, and I've been able to fix this and I've fixed that. I haven't had to call you, haven't heard from me in over a year. I was like, well, I'm just reaching out to make sure everything's good. Everything's great. That's all we should have to do.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's to me, to me, the thinking aspect of it is extremely, extremely important. And if they can't explain it, they don't understand it.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing that I try to teach and I try to preach in that aspect of it is it's just simple as on the law enforcement side, right? If you can't get on the stand and you can't tell people how odor moves, you can't explain why your dog, turned his head here and froze here, but found the dope over here or whatever the case. If you cannot explain yourself, you will lose. You have to know how to articulate that stuff because the certification ain't gonna get it out of you because they honestly don't care about that. They care about documentation. Are you being honest, like on your training records? Are you reflecting that the dog messes up? What did you do to fix that? How do you show that in your records? Like, that's what they care about. And a lot of people miss that. A lot of people miss that.
What's one mindset shift that changes everything for a handler?
Stop trying to make the dog right and start trying to make the dog wrong.
That was that was a good way of putting that
Huh?
in sweet.
Seriously, think
Yeah.
about it. Like, because most handlers, they'll walk into a search trying to prove that the dog can find something. Man, just let the dog work.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Let it work. It's not about control. It's not about you thinking something's there because the biggest thing that I do whenever I train, like whenever I actually train departments and things of that nature, a lot of times, dude, I will go to the department, especially when it comes to explosives and narcotics detection. I'll go there probably 4 sessions and I'll never put nothing out. Not one time. And you know how many times I'll have false alerts?
I
Because
can
those
only
dogs are so used to finding something every time they run a training exercise.
Yep.
Or they'll just run like one blank room, or they'll have 4 hot rooms and 1 blank room, or 3 hot rooms and 2 blank rooms. No, how about for a week, you don't find shit? How about that?
Uh-huh.
You're not comfortable with that conversation, are you? That's what I tell them because they're not. They're like, "Well, why would you do that? Now the dog's working for free." I said, "But we're working for reliability. We're working for the liability aspect of it. This is what you're going to be doing in the real world."
Mhm.
So yes, training is training, obviously. Training is in a controlled environment. But the thing is when your dog and when you as a team get to a certain point in the controlled environment where you've basically mastered everything in a controlled environment, why are you still training in a controlled environment? Now you're going to plateau as a team. You're doing nothing but a disservice to your dog too, because now you're not advancing your dog. I mean, oh man, it's just crazy, dude. The biggest thing is like when you stop viewing the dog as something that you manage, you start viewing it as something that you listen to because it all changes, right?
Mhm.
Once you understand that and you start like listening to it, you stop rushing your searches. You stop like I guess, forcing outcomes in a sense, like going into that training exercise and saying, "Yeah, something's gonna be here. I know it. We're training. I'm gonna find something." So if my dog don't find nothing in this first room, okay, this might be the one blank room. Let me go in the second room. I know I'm gonna find something here. And then he searches this damn room 3 times. I'm like, "What are you doing? Listen to your dog." You
Mhm.
know? Like,
Trust.
and that's what you get, and it's like, why? You would never do this in real life. If your dog told you that in the first room, why didn't you do that in the second room?
Uh-huh.
But it's because you're anticipating because of the training exercises that you're used to doing. And most of the times they know where it's at. They're all hiding it together. I've been there, I've done that. But we're doing it for a reason when we do that. But if that's what you're doing all the time, you're doing nothing but hurting your program, man.
Yeah.
You're basically you're taking your program and you're turning it into we got a certification through USPCA, NNDDA, NAPWATER, whatever organization they certify through. That's what you're banking your division on. We got a certification. And it shouldn't be like that. I don't know, man. It's we could talk about it forever.
Well, let's talk about the inner circle canine. What made you start the inner circle canine?
So it was basically just standards, man. Like from when I started to where it's at today, I feel like the standards haven't changed. And I feel like there's no expectation of it. There's so much evolution in this industry. There's so much new training, so much new scientific data. There's so much to it that I feel like the standards are so far behind. Because it's just like we said, right? Me personally, why can't a certification be, all right, look, y'all show up today. This is going to be quote unquote certification. Get your dogs, line up. Nobody talk to each other, whatever. Y'all wait over here. You come over here. Let's say we're doing cars. All right. Let's say we run 10 cars, for instance, 10 cars. Dog finds nothing. All right. Let's move on to indoors. We go to indoors. We run 6 rooms. Oh, we don't find nothing. Why can't that be a certification?
Yeah.
Why do we always have to find something?
Yeah.
Because we're not always gonna find something in reality.
New.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I saw missing is that part of a certification. I wanna incorporate something that is a true standard that tests all areas of not only controlled, but also real life scenario, real world. Why can't you know how many people would be sweating and boy, when they got done with that certification, I'd be like, "Oh, I failed, huh? Shit." You know what I'm saying? It would mess some people up, but you know how much confidence they would have if that dog brought them through all that and did not alert one time? did not give them one indication, but they were sweating so bad, but the dog still walked them through, their confidence would be through the roof. And that's what you want.
Yeah.
That's what you want, and it's just I don't know, man. The deeper issue to me is like just evaluation part of it. You got you got self-evaluations going on. Granted, you're gonna get so much pushback, which I have for several years since I've been doing auditing. So much pushback behind, third party independent auditing and things of that nature. Why you? Why is this? Why is this? So you got to go into that, right? But the thing is like I said earlier, it's not about, I'm not trying to make you lose a contract. I'm not trying to make you lose your job. I'm trying to hold you to a standard that you already are well aware of. But you're choosing not to be at that standard because no one is holding you accountable but yourself or your company, whoever it is that's doing it inside of your circle. So that's how I brought myself into doing this stuff, is because I feel like an unbiased person that has no attachments to none of them. Why wouldn't that look better in court?
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? And that's the big things. That's where I win with administration and win with chiefs and sheriffs. Is that's the biggest thing that I push, is the liability aspect of it, because that's a big thing with a lot of departments. So my question is always is, can your guys defend themselves on the stand? If they cannot, if you have handlers that cannot defend themselves on the stand, that can give you why my dog did this, not here, read my training log, you're going to have to talk about this.
Uh-huh.
You need to have that. And in order to have that, we all have to come together as an industry and teach each other that. I'm not doing this to say, look, it's me. Like, I'm the inner circle canine guy. I'm doing all this independent auditing. I don't give a shit about a name, credibility. I don't give a shit about none of that, man. I care about standard and I care about these dogs. I care about liability, care about people doing this for the right reasons. That's what I care about. I don't care about the check. Yes, okay, I gotta eat, of course, but that's not why I do this. I do this because I have a passion for this industry of growth, of evolution, and watching the training aspect of it evolve so much, but watching everything else still be so far behind. Because think about it, in any other industry, could you self-evaluate yourself or go no, it's a conflict of interest to anyone
Uh-huh.
else in any other business. They'll be like, "No, you can't do that. It's a conflict of interest," So it's like, man, it's hard, honestly, man, because people get so defensive behind those types of questions and behind those types of things because they don't want an outsider seeing their program reality. They think that I'm going to come in there and I'm be like, oh, y'all suck. Y'all are terrible. Y'all are this. Y'all. That's not what this is about. My message is way deeper than all of that. I want to make sure this client literally just invested $400,000 on this contract for you to put 8 handlers searching your warehouse or whatever it is you're doing. Why wouldn't you want me to come tell you that you just spent the right amount of money with the right company? Of course, they're gonna tell you, the company you're in contract with. Yeah, oh, we got the trainers, they've been doing it X amount of years and blah, 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 blah. They're auditing the handlers, which they do, and yada, yada, yada. But of course they are. Why would they fail their own people? You're never gonna know when they do. I've seen it. So that's honestly, man, that's like my main answer. It was just built on standards, man. Like I just got tired of seeing it. Uh, I'm just tired of everybody fighting each other in the industry. That's why you hear inner circle, because the industry's so large, but yet it's so small. So the big thing is why can't we all come together There's so much contract work out there. There's so many departments in this world. There's so many private civilian people that need training with their dogs. There's so much to feed everybody that wants to do this. But let's all do this together in the right way, man. Why does it matter that Dustin's method is better than my method? I don't care. Well, good. I hope yours is because I want to come learn from you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing is most people can't be open and honest and take that. They're like, "Oh, well, mine's better because I've been doing it 10 years longer." No, just look, man. It doesn't who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, who cares? We're doing the same mission, right? We're trying to complete the same thing, right? I don't care if yours works and mine doesn't. But guess what? If yours works, I'm gonna come learn what you doing so I can balance mine out and make mine work now. Why can't we do that? Why can't we work like that? That's just what I see, man. Cause like the gap in the industry to me is that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's not a talent gap, it's not a dog gap. I mean, kinda it kinda is now because it's hard to get dogs. It's hard to get good dogs nowadays. But it's just the interpretation gap of it all. Like, it's just we gotta work together, man.
Yeah.
I can't say that enough. I can't say it loud enough, and you could probably hear it in my voice, like, it frustrates me so much that you have all these people worried about what they look like on Instagram, what their video looks like, what this person and then you got the guys that wanna grab these videos and talk down and demean these people instead of building them up. Why? What the hell are you doing? You look like an idiot. Like, if you wanna have real humility and be a real person, why would you put down and demean another person that's trying to do the same damn mission as you? Just
Yeah.
because he's not doing it right? Well, teach him. How about
Yeah.
that? Reach out to him and teach him. Don't make an example out of him. I don't care if you don't like him. Who cares? We should be trying to better each other,
Right.
not fighting each other and not, calling this person out and like I'm tired of we're grown ass men acting like a bunch of elementary school ass kids. And I'm tired of seeing it in the industry, man. I
Yeah.
really, really am. Like it's sad, right?
It is. It is.
Because I know you see it,
I've seen it and I've been a part of it.
Who hasn't? Who hasn't? And that's the thing. You just said you've been a part of it. But that's the first stage of moving forward. You've been a part of it. I've been a part of it. We're moving past that. We don't associate with that. We don't want to associate with stuff like that. And that's the thing is like I try to build everybody up as much as possible. I don't care what your politics are. I don't care what you believe in. I don't care religion. I don't care about none of that, man. Are you a real person? That's all I care about. Humility, man. And that's a lot of us lack that. And it's actually sad, man. It's sad.
Then it is.
Cause you gotta think about it as like when you start demeaning those types of people, how do you think that makes you look? You may look like the cool guy to your friends, but in reality, like when somebody steps back and looks at it, they're like, man, that's an asshole. Like, why would he do that? Well, the reason why is because either A, that guy's probably pissed in his Cheerios, or he took a client from him, or there's always a reason behind why those types of people do that stuff. Always. That's the loud ones. The ones that have to be loud.
Yeah.
You know, they think being loud makes them a leader or makes them, I guess, an expert. I don't know.
Well, if a department says our program is fine, what question or questions would you ask to test that?
So, where I get that from, Say that again? Say that again?
So, like if you go visit a department
Yeah.
and they say, "Look, we're good. We don't need help. Our program's good. We're fine." If you wanted to test that, what question or questions would you ask?
So the biggest thing is I would layer it all. So I would have like a pillar method in a sense. My biggest thing is I'll always start off with the reliability part of it. And I'll ask them how they're measured in that situation because me, I'm going to look at them and tell them straight in their face, honestly, fine is just a feeling. How is fine going to progress you are gonna stop you from getting sued. Fine's just a feeling. So let's dig deeper into this. Oh, we're okay. We don't need you. Let's dig deeper in this. Let's talk a little bit more. Let's talk about your training logs. Are they scenario based? Are they repetitive? Are they, do y'all run the same patterns every time? Do y'all document blanks like we talked earlier? Are your misses recorded? Did you explain when you did miss? Did you explain in that record how you fixed that and how you're gonna continue to move forward? What's your plan moving forward with that miss? Um, it if I can't go in and audit somebody's like documentation or their training, to me, they don't have enough data and they're scared to show me. That's the thing. And it's kinda goes back to, like, when I was saying when they get defensive when you start asking those questions. If they push back hard on me, I know there's a reason behind it. So, I back off a little bit, and I kinda dial it down to, like, the liability aspect of it more than anything. And then I just go into, like, because to me, the first layer would be, like, liability documentation of the sort. Me, second, I would dive into, like, the decision making and stuff, like, how do you evaluate your handlers, trainers, and things that is it your own people doing it? Is it another company that obviously train these people? How is your training program progressing and being evaluated, like, weekly, monthly, however you wanna put it? Are they ever wrong in training too? That's the thing. That's a lot of thing that, people don't understand. And then you gotta remember, who's the canine commander? Who evaluates him? Why isn't he being evaluated? Why, because he's been doing it for 30 years? So, he still needs to be evaluated as well, because he has to show everybody underneath him to do everything that he's done in his career, when a lot of them, 'em, I'm speaking from experience, they don't. And that's and that can fall into the mentorship side that I pride myself on too. I love mentoring the younger generations and the people who are interested in the canine world and educating people and showing them everything that I possibly can. And then like so I gave you the first two layers. The decision making, that's the one I just talked about, right? So then I would jump into like how you measure performance if you're falling. Like, I would jump into once I evaluate the records, training logs, decision making, I would jump into like, hey, who says training's declining? Like how do we find that? What is what's that scale? What does that look like? Are we failing because we're not documenting our misses? What does that look like? Because doing the reps doesn't prove your reliability. You know what I'm saying? When you're constantly doing the reps over and over and over, it's like I said earlier, the certification's not gonna get you out of trouble. You gotta be able to talk about that. You gotta be able to explain that. You gotta be able to really digest all that information when you're in front of the court system. When you're going to protecting these cases and you make these arrests. You don't want these people getting out. You want to be able to slam the hammer down with the judge and be like, I know my shit. You're not about to get me. He's going to jail, And that's part of it. And then I would just stick upon the lines of the legality issues because I would literally end it with, if I took all of your stuff right now that you have in front of me, if I took all of your handlers, documents, training logs, and things of that nature, If it went to court tomorrow, do you think they could defend it? And 9 times out of 10, they look at me with a deer in the headlight looks and say, "You know what? I can't even answer that correctly right now." I said, then that's what I'm talking about right there. If you can't confidentially confidently say yes in that moment, then something needs to be done. So at that point, to me, like whenever they say, "Oh, we're fine," that fine disappears, man. That feeling's gone because they ain't feeling fine no more after that conversation. Because
Right.
I just opened their mind because they're being told by their canine commander, "Oh, we're good. We're good. We've been to these training seminars. You've paid for this, you've done that." But my biggest thing is even though you're the training commander, even though you're head of the division, who's holding you accountable? That's my biggest thing. Everyone needs to be held accountable to a standard. And that's where I feel it's missing in a lot of departments. I really do. Really, really, really do because they don't think of it like that. They're like, "Oh, well, he's been through this trainer's course and he's this, he's that." But that's what you know of him. You need to get an outsider's perspective, not to say he's right or wrong, but just to stamp your standards. Because I could go in there and just like you said, he could be like, "No, we're fine. We don't need your service or we don't need you to come audit our stuff." I could go in there and they could say that. And I'd be like, "Hey, can I check out your train logs, whatever, blah, 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 blah." They show it to me and bam, I stamp that shit. And I'm like, "Well, shit, y'all good. Y'all don't need me." You know what I'm saying? Like, that can happen. But that's where I think the pushback is because you have that mindset of defensiveness kicking in, like saying, "Well, I don't need to be held accountable or I don't need to do this because I've been doing this for so long already." Well, if you have and you have that confidence in your division, you wouldn't come back at me like that. You would say, "Sure, come watch us train tomorrow. Come watch us train tomorrow. No problem." But yeah, man, that we could go on forever for that too.
Yeah, I understand. What does the next 10 years of detection look like for you?
Whew. You know what? That's a crazy question to think about because of the technology and where everything's moving and where everything's going. Honestly, I'm gonna be straight up. I think data is gonna expose everything. Science is gonna start getting more and more evolved and more involved that it's gonna start exposing so much on the handler and training aspect of it because it already has. I think standards are finally gonna start rising. I do. I think video is gonna start coming more and more and more and more in play than what it already is. Because in my belief, I think this is what made me better. I mean, everybody's different, but I recorded myself every chance I had during training. Same thing with all the other handlers, supervisors. We trained each other all the time. Even when I was just a trainer and instructor, when I was teaching a class, I would have somebody literally record me teaching the class so I could see how I presented certain information, what could be better, how I can make it better because I feel like me and you could watch something and you're going to see something that I'm not going to see. I'm going to see something that you don't see. So I don't understand why we can't do that more. And I feel like the industry is going to start turning more to that more than anything because it's already doing that. There's a lot of people recording their searches. I just think overall, I think now clients are going to start turning to videos during training. How are you training your people? I feel like part of that technology is going to be entered into a training world where people tried to cover up so much for so long and try to hold on to what they feel like is their gold, their methods and their mythologies and everything. Now I feel like moving forward, all of that's going to be dumped out because it's going to be expected to be documented, whether it's video, whatever the case may be. I just think technology is really gonna take over on that part of it, honestly. 'Cause tech to me is never gonna replace dogs. Dogs are always gonna exist. Now, how they'll be utilized will probably be way different, but the tech will never replace the dog. The tech will probably replace handlers. I hate to say it because I mean, you were part of a program. There's many, like, I've trained a lot of dogs off leash for a lot of stuff. Hand signals, no commands besides hand signals. That's it. And they can search up to 200 yards plus away from you, you know? So I think the industry honestly will start moving in that direction because human error is amongst us. You know, it really, really is. Like, and it's hard to take that out. And I'm sure a lot of people will disagree, but I feel like it goes back to the philosophy that I preach is trust the dog. They're not paying for us. We don't smell shit. We don't bite nothing. We're just there. We exist in the dog's world. You know what I mean? And that's the thing is I wish people would have just that simplistic view of it because it makes it so much more interesting when you think of it like that because then you want to learn so much more about the dog. And that's when you can really tap into like dog psychology and understanding how the dog thinks and why it's doing this. And I mean, that's all we did in training, right? Like you train for each training phase is supposed to be done for a purpose. If you're just training for reps, you're going to lose. I'm sorry. You should be training with a purpose. You should have an objective every single exercise or discipline that you set up. And I feel like that's a big gap that I see whenever I look into training programs is most people train for reps or look at me on Instagram.
What do you want your legacy in this industry to be?
Honestly, I don't need or want a legacy. That's not who I am. I want to be this. My biggest thing, honestly, is how I want to be known as is when I talked to that guy, he was honest. He was solid. He bent over backwards for me. Like he helped me. That's all I care about. I don't care about credibility. That means nothing to me because if the standard's not set and if there's no standard there, then they just I don't know. I care about the standard more than I care about myself in the industry, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Like, really don't care about I just wanna know that I did what I could to better the standard and to push and to evolve with the industry. Literally it. Like, I just want the standard to be higher when I came in and when I leave. If I know that I was a part of that, to me, that's legacy. Like, seriously. If I know that I was a part of evolving with new standard and elevating it and knowing that it's better than when I started, to me, that's legacy. Like I said, I could give a shit about my name. I don't care about that stuff, man.
Yeah, well said. So
To
let's do some rapid fire questions.
to rapid fire.
Yeah.
All right, so rapid fire, we just one or two things, that's it?
Yeah, just kind of like whatever comes to mind when I ask the questions. But keep in mind, I'm not putting you on a time limit or nothing. So
Gotcha.
let's see
That's
what comes
easy.
to mind first. So what to you, what matters more, the nose or the handler's mind?
Mine.
When things start to go wrong, what collapses first, dog's detection or the handler's confidence?
Handler's confidence.
Narcotics or explosives?
That's tough for me. It really is, but I gotta say explosives now.
Yeah, well, and see, I would say explosive too, because that's all I've done. So,
Yeah,
you
because
know,
I
that was
spent
you
my
can
first I mean, granted, when I was training, I trained both with a vendor, but my first introduction into canine was a dual purpose narcotic and patrol dog.
mm,
So
yeah, I mean
there's still some softness in the heart right there.
oh, I was gonna say, yeah, that I mean, that is it is could be a hard question, absolutely.
Yeah.
Protection canine or detection canine?
protection,
Young dog or seasoned dog?
young,
Classroom instruction or field scenario?
field scenario,
Huh. Biggest leadership weakness you see?
insecure leadership,
Most dangerous word in canine training?
good enough,
Hard correction or patient repetition?
patient repetition,
Discipline or motivation?
discipline.
All right. Now, these are kind of the same as one word questions.
Okay.
So, leadership is,
Building more leaders,
detection is,
discipline or interpretation,
ego is,
liability,
trust is,
integrity,
legacy is,
earned,
the leash represents.
connection.
Okay. I like those answers. Some of those are really good. If a handler is listening right now, maybe frustrated, doubting themselves, what would you tell them?
All right, listeners, don't take this the wrong way, but good, good. Let it sit for a second because I got to think about it. But I want you to feel like that. And the reason why I want you to feel like that is because it means you care.
Yeah.
If you didn't care, you wouldn't feel the way you feel. Because you got to remember, we all started somewhere. We all had that same feeling, being confused, being frustrated, being everything. It's because we cared. So that's not a bad thing that you feel that way. Now, hypothetically speaking, we could flip it around and probably talk more about it. But even the most elite people, best trainers, all of the above, they misread dogs. They overhandle. They steer the everything that we've talked about on this podcast. I've done. Trust me, we've all been there. And that's what I think that young handlers need to hear more from the experienced people. We've screwed up tremendously. Listen to what I'm saying. Tremendously. Not once, not twice. Screwed up a lot in my life, a lot in my canine career. But you know what? That's teaching moments. That's learning moments. You learn from them, you move on from them, and you become a better person. That's what makes this industry so fun, is because it's so challenging all the time.
Yes.
Humility, own it, humble yourself, be humble, own it all the time. Stay coachable. That's my biggest thing is like, don't ever think when you get, I've been in here 5 or 6 years, the new guy comes in, now I'm all big and bad. No, you remember when you started. You remember the feelings that you had. Don't talk down, don't demean. Make him feel comfortable. Build him to be better. Build him to be better than you were. That's the challenge I give you right now if you're listening. If you're listening right now, build him better than you were. Period. And I ain't got nothing else to add to that one.
I mean, that was a strong message. At this point, you have the floor. Is there anything that we didn't discuss that you would like to talk about?
I mean, honestly, man, we did a good amount. Like I told
Yeah.
you when we talked before this, man, like this is this is fun. I love doing this type of stuff.
Hmm.
I loved your questions. It was very well put together. Made me think. It made me do some homework. Uh because like I said, we could talk all day, all night. I can talk for hours, you can probably tell, because I just have a passion for this industry,
Yeah.
and I want messages. I don't care how they get out there. I don't care if it's one listener, a million listeners. If one listener catches it, that's all I give a shit about. I
Right.
need messages to get out there. That's my biggest thing. And my biggest thing that I would leave is just be transparent. Be Have integrity with this stuff and stop demeaning people. That's my biggest thing. That's my biggest tear away from all of this, man, is I constantly watch so much in the industry on Instagram, on Facebook, and all this stuff. And people want to constantly tear other trainers down because they don't like each other for some ungodly reason, for some personal reasons, or whatever the case. We're all humans at the end of the day. Let's all treat people with respect. I can get it if they disrespect you in a certain way, but when it comes to this industry, we got a standard to withhold. And when you do stuff like that, that standard then starts to drift and looks like shit, honestly. Because it's just like I said earlier, Dustin, if you have a method that works and I don't, why wouldn't I want to come work with you?
Yeah.
There's no reason behind that. If you see a video of me putting it out on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, and you see something wrong, you know what I expect? For a seasoned person, I expect you to reach out to me and I expect to say, "Hey man, I saw this." Like, I take criticism. Not everybody can. I get that. But there's a way to come about certain criticism and understanding that people are like, I will never break you down in this industry at all. I will always continue to build up everybody. And I don't care when you started, how long you've been here, whatever the case may be. That's just who I am as a person. Could never like say you suck. I can't do it because guess what? I sucked one day too. And
Uh-huh.
that's what I always revert back to is seeing these green handlers. And yeah, we talk about it, we laugh about it, we joke about it, whatever. It's part of the industry.
Uh-huh.
If you've been a part of this industry, you know this industry is full of bullshitting. That's all it is. We just like to talk a lot of cash money stuff. But at the end of the day, like I always revert back to stuff like that. When I see those handlers touching the leash for the first time, yeah, I may chuckle and laugh and be like, "Ha, I remember that first day." But then I'll always remember my feelings that first day. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want them feeling like that. I want them to be confident. I want them to come dig everything out of my brain possible. And for anybody that wants to come try to be a sponge around me, please reach out. I will gladly give you everything I know and not for a dollar. I won't ask for a dollar. That's not what it's about to me. I'm all about education. I'm all about working together, figuring things out together. Like that's just who I am, man. I've always been like that. And there's a lot of people in this world that know me, that's worked with me personally all over the world, and they will vouch for it and tell you the exact same thing I'm telling you right now. We can not like each other, and I will still help you. That's just who I am because I want to see you succeed. My passion is in this industry. What got me out of law enforcement was because of successful canine teams that I trained and mentored and helped train their dog, train them as a team. I saw that success and I was like, oh my God, I do not want to do nothing else in my life but this. Literally, that's what it was. And I loved everything about law enforcement. Dad was a first responder, but he retired. My grandfather retired. That was in my family. But my passion fell into the success of others. I have a passion in watching others succeed because, in my eyes, when they succeed, that means I did my job and I succeed. So, hope that wasn't too much, Dustin.
No, man, it was great. It was great. Which actually kind of brings me to the next question is where can people connect with you and learn more about the inner circle K9?
So right now, just recently, honestly, my wife actually got this into me because my wife is my backbone. She's my yeah, she's my backbone. She gets me straight. I haven't been active on LinkedIn at all in my whole career. I literally just started, I want to say in December, a little bit, maybe November-ish, December-ish, I started being extremely active, posting educational articles, conversating with a lot of people, meeting a lot of different people. I went from 11 connections to like 650 like really quickly with chiefs of police and a lot of different people, man. And just I love meeting people and then like-minded industry professionals. That way we can network, because what's crazy is on a platform like that, it goes international and you get to meet so many people out there. So I would say the easiest way to contact me right now is through my LinkedIn, which is just my first and last name, CotyRizan, or just send me a message, man. Send me a message on LinkedIn. I'll gladly reach out. I'll give you my phone number and we can just go from there. But yeah, right now too, I just started a series called Monday Briefings. I want to
Okay.
say I just dropped the first article. It was last Monday. It was part one. I'm gonna go 10 weeks. So I've already uploaded everything. I've already did everything. It's uploaded until April the let me look at my calendar. I actually got it. Shoot. April April 27th. So every Monday at 5 a.m. Pacific time, there will be a new educational article that all the series is going to tie into each other. So it's not going to be like all over the place. Everything ties into each other. I can tell you exactly when I dropped the first articles. So if anybody is listening, you can go and catch up with that article. Actually, it's the first featured post on my page. It's the imprinting problem no one wants to talk about. Great article. Please read it. If you have any questions about it, if you want to dig deeper in my brain, send me a message. I will gladly talk to you about it. And then, like I said, every Monday for the next 10 weeks, something new will be dropped. And I'll give you a little hint. After that first article that I just told you about imprinting, the next one is residual odor. That's the most misunderstood topic that I believe that is not talked about enough. So please, please go read the articles every Monday. That's going to be the Monday briefings.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I hope everybody checks that out because I know it's going to be some really good stuff.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on it. Most people wouldn't be giving this away for free, I can promise you.
Yeah, I bet. Well, Cody, I appreciate your time, your transparency, and the standard you're pushing in the industry. Conversations like this raise the bar for everyone. So, man, thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, thank you for reaching out to me and getting me here. I have all the respect in the world for you, Dustin, and
No,
I
thank you.
certainly appreciate you like connecting with me. I'm glad we met. I'm sure we'll talk plenty more after this.
Yeah,
You let me
probably. Yeah.
know. Anytime you wanna do another one, man, please let me know. I'll gladly hook up with you and we'll schedule one. Yeah, man. Again, thanks for the questions. Thanks for wanting to learn about me, who I am, what I've done. And I appreciate you putting it out there on your platform like this. I really respect you for that, man. Thanks.
You're more than welcome. It's been more than a pleasure. One thing that stood out in this conversation is the idea of raising the standard in training and leadership and in ourselves as handlers. I mean, that's what this podcast is about. This is more than just a canine, real stories from the working dog and canine world. I'm Dustin Stiles. Be safe and God bless.